She didn't scream. That was the first thing that surprised her. No breaking glass, no dramatic confrontation, no running down the hallway demanding answers. Just silence. The kind that swallows a person whole. She sat on the cold marble floor of her bedroom, back against the bed, palms pressed against her mouth to stop the sound trying to escape her chest. Her body trembled. Not from weakness, from collapse. Every memory replayed violently. The proposal, the promises, the way he said you are the only woman for me, the way he quoted faith while convincing her parents, the way he touched her forehead on their wedding night. Lies. Not careless lies, strategic lies. She felt used, not as a wife, but as a shield, a cover, a respectable image to protect a secret life. Tears finally fell, slow at first, then faster. But even as she cried, something inside her was changing. Something was hardening. Because beneath the betrayal was something worse: humiliation. He had forced this marriage. He had pressured her through her parents, bought their loyalty, cornered her emotionally, and all along, he knew. He knew he was living two lives, and he still chose to drag her into it. Her chest tightened as footsteps echoed faintly in the hallway. Laughter. Low, familiar. The sound stabbed her ears. He wasn't ashamed. He wasn't afraid. He was comfortable. Comfortable enough to continue as if nothing had shattered. And in that moment, the tears stopped. Abruptly. Not because the pain disappeared, but because something else took its place. Clarity. She wiped her face slowly, stood up, walked to the mirror. Her reflection looked different. Still beautiful, still modest, still soft. But her eyes were no longer naive. They think I am weak, she whispered to herself. They think I will cry and accept it. A knock came at the bedroom door. Gentle, measured. Hassan's voice followed. Fareedah, are you home? The audacity. Her heart pounded, but her face remained calm. She opened the door. He stood there perfectly composed, shirt slightly wrinkled, hair adjusted, no guilt. Behind him, the hallway lights glowed warmly. He leaned in to kiss her forehead. She stepped back, not dramatically, just enough. He paused. For a split second, confusion flickered across his face. Are you okay? He asked casually. She looked at him, not crying, not shaking, just looking. I'm fine. Soft. Too soft. That softness unsettled him more than tears would have, because Hassan understood chaos. He understood shouting, accusations, emotional outbursts he could twist and manipulate. But silence was unpredictable. He studied her face, searching for cracks. There were none. She walked past him calmly and said, I'm tired. I'll sleep early. No questions, no confrontation, no exposure. He stood there slightly thrown off. For the first time in months, he wasn't in control of the emotional temperature in the room. That night, she lay in bed facing away from him. He tried to initiate conversation. She answered briefly. He tried to touch her arm. She shifted gently, not rejecting, not accusing, just distant. He eventually slept, but she didn't. Her eyes stayed open in the darkness. Her mind was working, analyzing patterns, replaying conversations, connecting dots, the locked suite, the financial gifts to her parents, the sudden mood swings, the excessive public affection. Image management, that's what this was. And if image mattered to him, then silence would destroy him. Because silence gathers evidence, silence observes, silence waits. The next morning she woke before him, prepared breakfast as usual, dressed modestly, and left for work with a polite goodbye. He watched her leave with narrowed eyes. Something had shifted. At the office that morning, she didn't cry to Mira immediately. She didn't collapse. She sat across from her best friend, hands folded neatly. Mira noticed the difference instantly. What happened? Mira asked quietly. Fareedah inhaled slowly, then said only one sentence. I saw them. Mira's face drained of color. But Fareedah didn't cry. She didn't tremble. Instead, she added, I will not fight him emotionally. A pause. I will finish this strategically. That was the exact moment when Fareedah stopped being a victim in a luxury cage and started becoming a woman planning her exit. Not loudly, not recklessly, but precisely. Back at the mansion that evening, Hassan watched her carefully, testing her, provoking lightly, but she gave him nothing. No tears, no accusations, no scene, just politeness. And that frightened him, because a crying woman can be gaslit, a shouting woman can be labeled unstable, but a silent woman is calculating, and Hassan had just lost the advantage. Life continued. Dinner was served at 8, the chandelier still glittered, the staff still bowed, and Hassan still played the perfect husband. But something had shifted permanently inside Fareedah. She stopped asking questions, and Hassan noticed. At first, he assumed it was submission. He mistook her silence for surrender. He didn't know it was observation. It began subtly. He would come home late, no explanation. If she asked gently, he would sigh dramatically. Business is stressful, Fareedah. Not everything is about you. If she remained quiet, he would lean in and soften his voice. You know I love you. The duality was surgical. One day, he ignored her presence completely. The next, he flooded her with affection in front of guests, kissing her forehead, calling her my modest queen, holding her waist possessively. People envied her. You are so lucky. Your husband worships you. See how he looks at you. She smiled, gracefully, because humiliation is louder when no one believes you. Then came the private cruelty. Not shouting. Worse. Mocking smiles. Backhanded compliments. You should be grateful I chose you. You know many women would die for this life. Your parents are very thankful, by the way. That one always landed because he knew. He knew the money he sent monthly kept them loyal. Her father would call sometimes. Endure, my daughter. Marriage requires patience. Her mother would whisper, Hassan is a good man. Don't anger him. They never asked if she was happy, only if the money had stopped. Hassan's behavior grew colder. Calculated neglect. He would deliberately cancel dinner plans without notice, leave her dressed and waiting, then return with expensive gifts, a diamond bracelet, a new luxury car, a designer wardrobe refresh, apologies wrapped in price tags. See, I take care of you. As if comfort erased betrayal. As if gold could silence the truth. But the gifts were not generosity. They were distractions. And Fareedah began to see the pattern clearly. Hurt, reward, confuse, control. A cycle. Designed to keep her unstable. Designed to make her doubt her own instincts. Because narcissists feed on reaction. Tears, anger, begging. But she gave him nothing. Publicly, he intensified the affection. Social events became performance stages. He exaggerated devotion, pulled her closer, praised her modesty, boasted about her intelligence, all while Eric stood across the room, watching quietly. Eric. The irony was suffocating. Two men sharing secrets, one woman used as camouflage, and the world applauded the marriage. At night, the mansion felt colder. The locked suite still existed, still active, still forbidding. But now it didn't shock her. It fueled her. She began documenting quietly. Dates he disappeared, times Eric visited, financial inconsistencies. She wasn't reacting anymore. She was building a case. Because luxury is dangerous when it becomes a cage. The marble floors, the silk sheets, the expensive perfumes, they were all tools. Tools meant to blind her to the truth. But clarity is stronger than diamonds. And Hassan began to sense it. He would watch her sometimes, longer than necessary, studying her silence, testing her with subtle provocations. You are quiet these days, she would reply gently. I'm learning. And that word, it unsettled him deeply, because learning leads to living. And Hassan thrived on control, not abandonment.
Meanwhile, the money to her parents doubled, almost as if he was securing an insurance policy, ensuring that if she ever spoke, they would silence her. But what he didn't understand was this. Fareedah was no longer fighting emotionally. She was withdrawing strategically. And when a woman stops trying to fix a marriage, it is already over. He thought the mansion was her dream. He didn't realize she was mapping every exit.
If betrayal had a face, it would smile like Amanda. Amanda wasn't just ambitious, she was hungry, polished, calculated innocence in her eyes, the kind of woman who tilts her head when she speaks to men in power. From the beginning, she studied Hassan like an opportunity. Whenever he visited the office, she transformed. Her laughter became louder, her walk slower, her perfume stronger. She would adjust her blouse slightly before entering the conference room, lean too close when handing him files, call him sir in a tone that didn't sound professional. Mira noticed first. Mira always noticed. Fareedah noticed too. But Fareedah didn't react because by then, she was no longer a wife fighting for affection. She was a woman designing her exit. Amanda's audacity escalated. One afternoon, she walked into Fareedah's office uninvited. "I just wanted to say," she smiled sweetly, "you are so lucky, ma. Not every woman gets a husband who spoils her like that." Her eyes flickered, not admiration, envy, calculation. Fareedah looked at her calmly. "Luck," she replied softly, "is expensive." Amanda didn't understand the weight of that sentence. She would soon. It didn't take long. Hassan began staying back after meetings. Amanda volunteered to assist. Unnecessary strategy sessions, late file reviews, private conversations. One evening, she sent a message to Hassan that was never meant for Fareedah to see. But Fareedah saw it. She had access to the shared company tablet. The message was bold. "I deserve a man who sees my value." And Hassan responded. That was confirmation. Not suspicion, not assumption. Confirmation. When Fareedah told Mira, she didn't cry. She leaned back in her chair and said calmly, "She wants the life." Mira's eyes sharpened. "Then let's give it to her." And that was the moment the plan shifted. Amanda would no longer be a threat. She would be a tool. Step 1. Make the throne look inviting. Fareedah stopped performing in the office. No more affectionate calls to Hassan. No more public praise. She created emotional distance intentionally, but subtly. Amanda noticed. She interpreted it as weakness, as opportunity. Step 2. Increase access. Mira reassigned certain projects, positioning Amanda closer to Hassan during company collaborations. Professional exposure, she called it. Amanda thought she was being promoted. In reality, she was being positioned. Step 3. Controlled blindness. Fareedah stopped hiding that she knew. She simply stopped caring. When Amanda began dressing bolder around Hassan, Fareedah complimented her. "You look beautiful today." It unsettled Amanda, because guilt grows louder when the victim smiles. Soon, Hassan crossed the final boundary. He began openly comparing. Amanda is very driven. She understands business pressure. She's supportive. Subtle jabs disguised as praise. He wanted Fareedah to react. She didn't. Instead, she said softly, "If he makes you happy, I'm glad." That sentence shook him, because control depends on resistance, and Fareedah was no longer resisting. She was releasing. Then came the ultimate audacity. Amanda visited Fareedah's parents. Yes, she did. Under the guise of checking on family, she sat in their modest living room and said gently, "Ma, sir, I think your daughter is pushing her son away. A man like that shouldn't feel unloved." Her mother nodded slowly. Her father frowned. The money had reduced recently. They were afraid. Amanda planted the seed carefully. If she doesn't appreciate him, someone else will. And that someone was her. When Fareedah discovered this betrayal through a relative who mentioned Amanda's visit, something inside her went cold. Not broken, cold. She looked at Mira and said quietly, "She's braver than I thought." Mira replied, "Or more foolish." The final phase began. Fareedah filed preliminary legal consultations quietly. Financial separation, asset review, documentation of emotional manipulation. Meanwhile, she stepped further back,
Emotionally unavailable, physically distant. Hassan grew restless. Amanda filled the gap eagerly. He began spending nights away. Amanda believed she was winning. She started picturing herself as Madame, walking down the same staircase, giving instructions to the same staff, wearing the same diamonds. She even told a colleague once, "Some women don't know how to keep a good man." The audacity. She didn't realize she wasn't stealing a husband. She was inheriting a storm. One evening, Hassan announced it coldly. "I might take a second wife." He watched Fareedah's face carefully, waiting for collapse. She simply nodded. "If that is your decision, make sure it brings you peace." Peace. That word echoed in his head because she looked peaceful, too peaceful. And that's when Hassan sensed it. He was losing her, not to another man, but to herself. Behind the scenes, Fareedah and Mira accelerated the escape plan. They secured company ownership structures, separated financial accounts, prepared evidence of diverted funds. And when everything was ready, Fareedah stepped aside completely. Amanda stepped in fully. The marriage shifted, and Hassan, ego wounded and desperate for control, formalized what he thought was victory. He married Amanda quietly to prove dominance, to replace, to punish. But here's what Amanda didn't understand. Fareedah had already removed herself from the battlefield, and when the spotlight turned to Amanda, there were no more gifts, no more grand gestures, no more protection from his darker side. The locked suite still existed. Eric still visited. The cruelty intensified. Only this time, there were no diamonds to cushion it. Amanda thought she was taking a crown. She didn't know it was cursed. And Fareedah, she didn't fight for the throne. She built her own kingdom.